Rob, can we discuss your approach to applied e-learning and training, and what are the origins of your ideas that have driven your thinking here?
A couple of things really, Jonathan. Firstly, I think it's dissatisfaction with traditional training approaches, and then secondly, the sort of practice of large management consulting firms to not really share the level of intellectual property that they could with clients. So for Aspire, these two things are really driving our thinking in this space. So if I take the first point, traditional training, I think where that fails is that it's seen as a very discrete activity. Typically it's performed by trainers who haven't necessarily worked as coaches or mentors or consultants. And where we're different there is that our team comes from a blended background. So we expect our team members to have delivered training. Many of them have lectured at universities. They've delivered training courses as part of projects and programs they've worked on in the field operationally, as well as providing soft skills training and strategy and change training. So that's the first thing. I think the second thing then, if we look at the tendency of organisation to be very protective about intellectual property, in reality a lot of the information has been out there for many years, and it's been distilled in lots of different ways, and what we've tried to do is we've tried to blend the best of theoretical approaches with our own practical experiences of driving change successfully within business. So our training courses tend to be a blend of theory and practice, and where we again try and differentiate ourselves is that we provide the client and their team with access to our content before the course is run. Giving them the opportunity to actually get up to speed on the content before they arrive on the training course. Which then means that when we're running the training courses, they can be far more interactive, they can be far more focused on specific problems, issues, challenges that the client team has. So we adopt a very flexible stance in the way that we're delivering the content then on a face-to-face basis. The other problem with traditional training is typically there's very little support after the training activity is conducted. So what we're trying to do there is trying to provide clients with the ability to be able to immediately conduct after the training course a maturity assessment of where they stand from a personal development standpoint on the topic, or if it's something that's looking at a strategic change initiative within an organisation, then what's the current as-is maturity of the business, what's the to-be aspirational maturity they want to achieve around that topic area. So it's really providing them with a platform to immediately start applying the learning and plan how they will develop themselves to address that learning topic and apply it practically within their business.
Rob, perhaps we can talk about the type of training courses that you offer.
So there's quite a range, Jonathan, and our ambition is to grow an extensive portfolio of business strategy, change and transformation learning capabilities, as well as providing all of the traditional soft skills type training, so leadership development courses that are tailored for the foundation level, the intermediate level and the advanced levels, but backed up by coaching and mentoring support services. So after the training has been delivered, that's not the be all and end all. For us, it's about building a long-term relationship with clients, so that we're with them on the personal development journey. And we see it as part of our responsibility to make sure that we don't just deliver the theory and a little bit of practice from a short, sharp training session, but we actually regularly stay in contact with the attendees, and we're regularly monitoring their progression in applying that learning capability internally, either from a personal self-development point of view, or to the benefit of the organisation they work for. So Jonathan, a couple of other examples I should mention. So also what we tend to do is look at hot topic issues. So for instance, we've got a standard GDPR course. We've got a standard addressing the Brexit challenge course.
The Brexit challenge.
With the ominous Brexit challenge, which again is focused on not just understanding the macro and microeconomic impact that Brexit will have on a business, but it's looking at developing the roadmap for change to address the challenges that Brexit comprises of. So effectively, it's looking to help the client team work out what their plan for action is,
right,
across all of their functions, looking at finance and procurement and sales and legal and all the other areas of the business that are going to be heavily impacted in time by the changes that Brexit introduced.
How else can companies benefit from your training approach?
I think the other big benefit area for a business is the ability to build an internal consultancy capability within their organisation.
Okay.
So we can not only help train up an internal consulting capability, but we can also help them to train trainers and also train coaches and mentors, so they can provide an internal personal development capability within the organisation, rather than necessarily having to continually go out to a multitude of different companies where they've got no guarantee of quality of delivery. They potentially are exposed to courses that can be very theoretical and are often delivered by people that perhaps lack the practical experience of how difficult change can be within an organisation. The real benefit that I think our team brings to the table is, we're comprised of people that have worked for leading management consultancy firms, technology consultancy firms, but also many of our team members have been in the role of CEO or CIO or sales director or HR director. So they understand the practical issues that really have to be addressed at the sharp operating end of the model. It's not just the theoretical strategic side of things.
Yeah, understood. But Rob, how is the Aspire training approach different to other training providers?
I think we briefly touched on this before, but for us it's about bringing trainers to the table that have that industry practitioner experience.
Okay, so they've been there and done it.
Exactly, and therefore can provide a much higher quality of mentoring, training, consulting and coaching capability. So I think that's the first thing.
So they recognise the business problems and can address the training accordingly.
Exactly, and they can be flexible in the way the training is adapted, and that's why we also favour this approach of providing client teams with access to the content before they come on the course. So that if they've got the time and they're willing enough to or eager enough to actually take a closer look at the content before they arrive, then they will get a far richer, deeper experience from the training sessions that we deliver.
Right.
And then I think the other big differentiator for us is that we provide an ongoing support capability to act as a coach or a mentor, and also provide the consultancy capability to help clients with specific problems and challenges, whether they're people related, technology related or process related.
Interesting.
Focused on leveraging the latest technology to improve the customer or client learning experience. So for example, we're in discussions with artificial intelligence companies about the way in which AI can be applied to provide almost like a virtual consultant, a virtual coach, a virtual mentor, or a virtual tutor within the classroom situation.
Oh, really? Right.
So this is early stages, but this is where we see the future of AI and the learning and training experience blending together.
Right.
So I think that's another key aspect where we're looking to differentiate ourselves.